Normally we would be underway by now. However, on the first three matters that are on the docket, we had to postpone them to this evening because we didn't have a quorum of the board at the last meeting. And as it stands right now, we don't have a quorum for those three applications that were carried over from last month. So we're going to wait a few more minutes. We're hoping that one of the board members who confirmed that he would be here tonight will actually appear so that we can undertake that application. So you'll just be patient with us. My understanding is that the town board will hopefully soon be approving additional members. Ms. Bickett, who usually sits to my left, moved out of town, so she had to resign from the board. And Mr. Gorman is in Florida, and we don't have arrangements for him to appear virtually yet. So we're kind of at a loss. So if anyone who's here knows of anyone who would like to join a wonderful board of community volunteers, we're not paid, volunteers who are interested in zoning or development in the town and how it can be done and how it shouldn't be done and those kinds of things, just call the supervisor's office and say, hey, can I join the zoning board of appeals? And the supervisor will take that under advisement and he'll make recommendations to the town board, and then the town board will hopefully approve some new members for the board. And in addition, I'm also trying to get them to, we had an alternate member of the board. Mr. Gorman was the alternate, and then we had somebody who had to resign, and Mr. Gorman took his seat, and they never appointed another alternate. So we're kind of facing the same staffing shortages that just about everybody seems to be these days. And they're having hard enough time finding people to take paying jobs, much less volunteer jobs. So I guess that only adds to the problem. But if we'll give it another 5 minutes, and then we'll have to punt. The meeting to order. We're going to do the stand up, do my introductory spiel, do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then if we don't have a fifth member with us tonight, Mr. Nieves, I'm going to excuse you at that point if he's not here because we still won't be able to do anything. And I have to tell you that I am sincerely sorry for that. The day after the last meeting, when we ran into that problem, I called and tried to ensure that we would have a full complement available tonight, but it's beyond my control. So let's hope that while we're pledging to the flag, our fifth member will arrive. So if everyone will rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And so I want to welcome everybody to the April 2022 meeting of the Irondequoit Zoning Board of Appeals. Before we get underway on the matters on the docket, I just have a few announcements. First off, the fire exit is located to your left. In the event of a fire, you will be notified by an announcement. If so notified, please move in a calm and orderly fashion to the exit. Do not use the elevator. Use either the north or the south stairs to leave the building. The meetings are being recorded by our secretary, or will be recorded by our secretary when she returns, for the purpose of a record and minutes. So when you come to the microphone, please identify yourself, name, and address each time that you come to the podium and speak into the microphone. We follow the items in the order that they appear on the agenda. There are extra copies of the agendas on the table next to the door on the after the case has been called. The applicant or their representative will come to the podium, identify himself or herself, state their address, pause to be sworn, and then present their case. The reason we swear the applicant is because we had a situation several years ago where an applicant gave us information that turned out to be on the best front, we'll say it wasn't completely accurate. The worst case would be that it was false. And we found out that because it was there was nothing formal about it, so there was nothing that really could be done. So we now swear in the applicant so that in the event that any of the information that applicants provide to us turns out to be inaccurate or false, there are remedies available. I don't think hopefully that won't be the case, but just once you face a problem, you figure out a solution that takes care of it in the future. So that's what we've done. During the presentation of the applicant's case, the members of the board will have an opportunity to ask questions of the applicant and engage in conversation. Once that is completed, then we open the cases to public input. There's three categories of public input that have been identified, and of course we're open to a fourth if someone can suggest a fourth. But the first people that we ask to come forward are those that want to speak in favor of the application. The next group that we ask is those that want to speak in opposition to the application. And then the third category is those who don't really have an opinion either in favor or against the application, but they want to talk to us about some aspect of the application, like when we have an application for tonight, we don't, for chickens. Some people like to talk to us about chickens and having chickens in town and things like that. We get corner lots, and people like to talk about how corner lots work. So that's the third category. After the public input has been completed, we give the applicant the opportunity to respond to anything that came up during the public hearing. At that point, we close the hearing and move on to the next case. Once all the cases have been heard, the board takes a short recess. and then we return to deliberate each case in the order of the applicants that they appear on the agenda and for which the applicant is still present. So if the applicant for the first case has left, but the applicant for the second case is here, we would take the second case first, and then we would go down the agenda to the next applicant that's present. And when we finished with all the applicants that were present, we would go back to the top of the agenda and work our way down the cases for those applicants that have left. You're not required to stay. You're welcome to stay, but during the deliberative portion of the meeting, there is no more public input unless it's specifically requested by a member of the board. If you're interested in knowing what we've decided with respect to certain applications, you can go home and flip the dial on, if you have Spectrum, to I think it's 1300, and you can catch it live, or you can watch it. I think they repeat it multiple times during any month. And the other option is you can call into the town hall at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning and talk to the building and zoning department, and they will gladly tell you what we decided. All right, so it is now 7:13 according to the clock on the wall, and Mr. Nieves, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, the board member will not be here. I did get a hold of him. He won't be here tonight.
So, Mr. Nieves, here's the difficulty. As you know, Mr. Upson can't participate in the deliberation on your case. So that leaves Mr. Antini, myself, and Mr. Travis. And you need 4 affirmative votes at least in order to have an application passed and or even voted on, or even to conduct a public hearing. We've got to have at least 4 members that are able to participate. So I will tell you one thing. When we have enough members of the board, I know that this has been pending for a long time. I know that you and Mr. Trankler are both anxious to have us consider your application. And since we haven't been able to do that through no fault of yours or Mr. Trankler's, when we have enough members of the board, I will work and do everything I can to schedule a special meeting of this board just to consider your application. And we'll let you know when and where that, well, it'll be here, but we'll let you know when. All right, because I am very apologetic, very sorry that we have come to a halt and not been able to fulfill our responsibilities because we don't have the proper complement of people to consider it. And I sincerely apologize to you.
Can I go up?
Sure.
I appreciate it and I understand the circumstances, but I'm sure you heard the term time is money, and this is costing me a lot of time and money. And I appreciate you guys being here. Is there any possibility, throwing it out there, that LaBella rescinds their comments and Mr. Upson can vote in? I'm still have answers for LaBella.
The fact that the comments are already out there is what created the problem to begin with.
Yeah.
But as I said, I'm well aware of the fact that time is money and that it's your money that's being compromised by our not giving you the proper time. So like I said, as soon as I know that we have enough members of the board, we'll schedule a meeting, different date, different time, not at our regular meeting.
It won't be for a month, right?
No, I don't know when they'll approve a member of the board, but if they can do it.
Now, the calls are recorded. Did anybody listen to them and put an absent vote in? Is that a possibility?
No, they can't do that.
So what's the purpose of recording the calls? I thought that's what you guys were going to do.
Recording what? The meetings?
Well, yeah, to listen. Someone else can listen to the whole hearing and vote on it absentee wise. Is that allowed or not allowed?
No, absentee voting for the zoning board is not something that's been approved by the legislature. Okay. What I'm trying to do is understand this. I'm trying to ensure that if, as I anticipate is probably likely to be the result, that we approve your application in some fashion, perhaps with a few conditions given the nature of the, the lots and the application, that it's not going to be subject to being challenged, which would delay it even more.
Yeah, if it gets challenged in any
Right.
kind of way, I just,
So I want to have all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed, so that we've done it right the first time, so that you can be confident that you're not going to have to come back and do it over again.
no, I understand. It's just a frustrating process, as you
Oh.
can imagine.
Trust me, I am very frustrated, as I think is everybody with me on the board and the staff people, by the fact that we're not able to conduct the business that we're charged with conducting.
Yeah, I had a deadline to get this property done, so I would appreciate if you guys could try to find some way to get this done within the month, before the next meeting.
I will be on the phone to the supervisor's office tomorrow
I would appreciate that.
to try and make sure that
I would accommodate. My job's
if
pretty
the-
flexible, and I can come here anytime you guys can accommodate it.
maybe the town board could even do a special meeting too to approve some members for us so that we can go forward. But we'll try and figure out a way to ensure that that doesn't happen.
I appreciate it.
All right, and I'm sorry, we'll be in touch and we'll do it as quickly and as properly as we can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next case?
Please.
Okay. ZB 2022-04-1, upon the matter request by Rachel Conderas for an area variance to install 6-foot-high side yard fencing exceeding maximum permitted height on premises 21 San Sharon Drive in an R1 residential district.
Hello.
Hi, before you get going, the one thing that I forgot to mention is, did I mention that Ms. Bickett has resigned because she moved out of town? Oh, well then, see, I got carried away. Carry on.
Rachel Conadaris, 21 San Sharon Drive.
Peter Conadaris, I'm her father.
Okay.
Basically helping.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Want to put up a 6-foot fence?
correct, yep, on the side of my house, the maximum permitted is 4 feet. I'm looking to raise it to 6 feet. I do have a large dog. I just want to protect the safety of him, people going by, him not getting out, everyone feeling comfortable walking by as well. Also, it's better privacy as well for us. It's only 23 feet past where the neighbors have theirs, and we're just going to the edge to meet our garage. So right there is where it'll run, 23 feet forward, right to the edge of the garage is what we're looking to do. So instead of the 4, go to 6, give us that extra privacy, just ensure the safety of my dog pretty much as well. So,
Don't discount the privacy factor.
and the privacy, yeah, that's a nice one too.
Did you give him a picture of what we want?
Yeah, I did. We're looking to put, I know, like stockade fence. We already have that around the
Like the
rest.
fence it's going to match the fence that's already there.
You got it. I want to make it look a little nice too. I printed out pictures just a little bit nicer. I've already contacted people to get this installed if we are able to get approved. Just a nicer look too, just more presentable. I know it's going to go up to the.
It's going to be a different kind of fence than what's there, or you're going to paint
No,
it?
it's stockade. There's nothing there right now, so it's just the stockade. We're
No, but
meeting-
isn't there fencing around the other
Correct,
portions of your
it's-
property?
It's stockade, yes, correct.
Right,
It's gonna
all
look
here.
just like it. It's just a, for the actual gate part, it'll look nicer.
We put it on
Oh,
here.
facing the road?
Correct.
Oh, okay. I got it.
Yeah.
That's a nice touch to do.
The dog
Yeah,
here,
exactly.
that's back.
Correct. So, I did print those out if everyone would like one.
Sure. We love pictures.
Yeah, us too. I already contacted so-and-so. They gave us a quote on this.
That would only be in the back, in the front part.
So this will be what it looks like. So it's more presentable. We just have some shrubbery still in front of it and everything.
Very nice.
Thank you. Yep, thank you. Very much.
All right, does anyone on the board have any questions?
Yeah, just we're just talking about the side portion, not the across the front.
It's the side.
Well, across the front is still your side, because it's not forward of the front foundation line.
Oh, okay,
So we still consider that the side yard?
okay.
Okay.
Basically, the back, we'd be using the dog here. In the base, in the back, we'd be meeting the dog ear. It's
Yeah.
a different type of fence, yes. And that would be just more presentable for the front.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, we'll open it up to public input. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of this application? Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone who'd like to talk to us about fences, side yards, anything like that? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing with respect to this matter. Move on to the next case. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next case, ZB 2022-04-2. Upon the matter of request by Mark Billos for an area variance to continue parking a commercial vehicle on premises 84 Sharrington Road in an R1 residential district.
Mark Billis, 84 Charrington Road.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
I am applying for a 6-month grace period to park my commercial vehicle in my driveway while I purchase a personal vehicle. My previous one was an older model. It's died, and the cost to fix it is actually worth more than will be more expensive than the worth of the vehicle itself. That was scenario A, and then scenario B was once I actually purchased the vehicle, if at any time it was at the shop or anything, that I could also then bring it home and I could provide any receipt upon that proving that it was in the shop.
The problem with the second scenario is that there's no boundaries to it, if you know what I mean. And when we grant a variance,
Right.
it runs with the land. So, if we allow, we can put a time limit on it,
Right.
but we can't say, well, if your car breaks down in November, it'll be okay, or December or whenever. That's not something that we're equipped to do. So,
Okay.
You know-
Scenario A was definitely the more important of the two. I've used it before when my personal vehicle has broken down and I have brought it home and then I had calls on it. So that was why I included scenario B in there. But I can always come up with another option in that scenario.
now, who owns this vehicle?
I do.
You do.
Actually, my wife does. I'm sorry, it's in her name.
Okay.
Yes.
And what you're looking for tonight is to allow you to continue to have that in your driveway, possibly as long as through,
Would be October 4th.
the end of September.
Yes, essentially.
All right. And or until you acquire another personal vehicle.
Correct. If I were to get a personal vehicle, as soon as I get a personal vehicle, that will go back to the depot where it's stored.
What depot is that?
In Henrietta, I work for Bimbo Bakeries, deliver bread.
Oh, okay, but you own the truck?
Yeah,
You're like
yes.
an independent contractor with
Yes.
your own truck, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Have you ordered another vehicle or?
No, we've been to several dealerships. They're going to contact us when a vehicle in our price range. We've given them what we're looking for. I've got a few private owners that we're going to meet up with next week, and the stock is not very high, and they're asking for a lot more money than typically they're worth. So
No commitments though right now.
no commitments as of right now. Just stuff we're going to look at.
So let me just clarify. So the truck that I saw in the driveway yesterday is owned by the muffin truck is owned by you, correct? Not owned by the company.
Correct.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
Any other questions from the board? this hearing up to public input. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition to this application? Step right up.
Can I sit down?
Yeah.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi. So John Balstrek, I live at 265 Wyndham Road.
Oh, we don't swear in,
Oh, I don't,
only the applicants.
oh,
I'm sorry, what street were you at?
Wyndham Road.
WYNDHAM.
Oh, right, thank you.
Right. Okay, yes, so I'm here to ask that you do not approve the variance asked by Mr. Billows. In fact, I'm here to ask the town to stop him from parking the truck in our neighborhood. He's been parking it on and off since 2016. According to your town violations department, he's had six violations since that time. I know you look at several factors when making this decision. The first is, does it impact the character of the neighborhood? We live in a gorgeous neighborhood, Orchard Park Boulevard. It's beautiful. His truck sits there, stands out like a sore thumb, to use a cliche. It is a billboard. I can see, it just stands out like anything. I know my other neighbors, some of my other neighbors share in my agreement that it just impacts the aesthetics of the neighborhood. I do have extra photos if you want to look at any.
I think we've all driven by. If you want to share photos
No,
with
that's
us,
all right.
you can.
That's all right.
but-
If you've seen it. Yeah, and then also I know that you also look at, are there alternatives? Well, Mr. Billows has been parking his car almost every night since, I think, late January, maybe early February. He's had 2 months already to find a car, and another 6 months, that's 8 months to find a car. I find that fairly excessive. I know cars are more expensive. Everything is these days, but it's, I don't see why the neighbors have to share in that burden. I was going to mention about the moving, putting the car in the shop, because I've seen the truck quite a bit, sometimes more than others. I'm wondering why it's there. I think that's it. So I'll wrap up. I really appreciate your time, and hope the town does something about this issue.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone else who'd like to talk to us about the application? Mr. Billows, would you like to come up and address us? Ken? I have one question. One of the factors that we are supposed to take into account is the alternatives that wouldn't require a variance.
Yeah.
So have you made any inquiries of any of the nearby locations? For example, at the corner of Winton and Empire, there's a what used to be a gas station. I'm not sure what's there now. Did you talk to them about whether or not you could park your truck there, which is pretty close to your home, for the period of time until you find a car?
I have not, and I'm open to doing that. I understand we're here now, but no, that is not something I've tried to do.
All right, because that's, I'll tell you, we've had people come in the past that we've denied applications for other commercial vehicles.
Right.
And there's a reason that the town has that code provision in effect, and it's because of the comments like we just heard.
Yeah.
And it does stand out. I mean, when I came by and looked at the driveway and saw the truck, I could see it all the way from coming down the street.
Yep.
And then I went around to Orchard, is it Orchard Park?
Yes. Orchard Park is the one that comes off.
Right, Orchard Park. I went around, and as I was passing the end of your street from Orchard Park, and I looked down, I could see it all the way from there. And so it does stand out in the neighborhood.
Yep.
I think, well, I think there's probably other places that you could work something out with for parking it that aren't too far away.
Yeah, that's certainly something I could attempt.
All right.
Yeah. I did just want to speak about the violations and what he was speaking about. There was originally something worked out between me and code enforcement that I would call and let them know when I was keeping it there overnight. Okay?
All right.
So I just want to let you guys know that.
Well, code enforcement has the discretion to make temporary exceptions and
Yep.
things like that.
And as far as other people, he said neighbors and stuff did join in with that or believe that, but, he's here speaking for himself, so,
Well,
yeah.
a lot of people don't like to come there. They're a little
I don't
intimidated
doubt
by
it, trust me,
coming up
this
in
is
front of us for some reason.
Not really
I'm
good
not
at
sure
public
what it is,
speaking,
but-
this is
Yeah.
truly an anxious,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, if I could, I have another question. Do you drive two different trucks?
No, I had a personal vehicle, it was an old 2001 Chevy.
Well, the reason I ask is we've got a photograph of February.
It's two different images on the two different
Are they
sides.
different?
Correct,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's what I wanted.
One's the English muffin and one's the muffins.
the little bites.
Little bites.
Little
or whatever,
bites.
Yep.
Little bites.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alright, I saw one side of it, but I didn't see the other side of the truck, and then I see two photos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cleared that up.
Appreciate it.
Yes, next application.
Thank you. ZB 202204-3, upon the matter of request by Gerald Scotti for an area variance to replace an existing 6-foot-high front yard and side yard fence exceeding maximum height and linear footage and with non-conforming fence type in front yard on premises 3773 St. Paul Boulevard in an R1 residential district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gerald Skakiti, 3773 St. Paul Boulevard.
Raise your right hand. Oh, I'm sorry.
Tina Skakiti, 3773 St. Paul Boulevard.
If you'd both raise your right hands, do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for having us to talk about our variances tonight. 2006, the previous owner of our house received a permit from the town of Arundequoit to build a fence, 6 foot high, or 6 foot in height on the south and east sides of what was at that point a newly constructed pool. Pool and fence projects were completed, and the fence has been in that place since 2006. And you can see in the pictures, figure 1, and on the survey map. On the survey map is highlighted the area of the fence that needs to be replaced. We purchased the property in November 2017. We pulled the permits, and at that time, nothing was flagged as being problematic. A few weeks ago, on Sunday, March 6th, there was a significant windstorm here in Rochester, and literally, as you can see from the pictures, 2, 3, 4, literally blew sections of the fence apart. In fact, in figure 2, you can see the 80-foot tree that came down next door across St. Paul. Anyways, so the insurance company has considered the fence to be a complete loss. The recommendation is for us to replace that fence. So we came down to the town to inquire about getting a permit. Did we need a permit to replace an existing fence? And then we found out, to our surprise, that the fence was not properly permitted at the time. It seems while granted a building permit back in 2006, the previous owners did not submit, nor did the town of Arundequoit require that the proper variances for the fence were put in place when it was constructed. We want to certainly go through the proper process and procedures, which is how we find ourselves here in front of you all tonight. So as you can see from the survey map and figure 1, the house sits on the corner of St. Paul and Fairview Crescent. And for us, and for all practical purposes, the front of the house really resides on the Fairview Crescent side. It's where our front door is, where the garage is, where the driveway is. So the pool for us is, we consider that to be in the backyard. Well, we've been schooled on the town of Arundequoit code, learned that, the town considers St. Paul to be the front yard of our property, thus.
It's safe to say that if you brought 100 people to your property and asked them where the pool was, that 100 of them would tell you it was in the backyard.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But the town and the postal service also, because your address is St. Paul.
Correct.
Not Fairview Crescent.
Yep.
Which is another thing that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but we're here to straighten out things that don't make sense.
That's right. Right, so we're requesting the variances for a fence longer than 32 linear feet, for a solid fence, and for a fence that exceeds 42 inches in height.
I don't mean to cut you short. Well, yes, I do.
Okay, that's okay.
Really, what you're asking us for is so that you can replace what you had that's been in the neighborhood for the last 16 years without any problems, without any complaints, without anybody saying, oh my goodness, look at that's terrible in the neighborhood because he's got that fence that the town told him he could put up.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments?
You know, actually, I think we're leaning towards the cedar. The vinyl, actually, we learned, so I was mistaken in my letter of intent. I said that the sheets were the same size. The vinyl actually only comes in a 6x6 sheet, so if we went that, we could replicate the look with a few more panels. But I actually think because of supply and timing and things like that, we need to get it fenced in because it's the pool. So that we'll probably be going with wood. Sure. Other questions or concerns?
Any other comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, we'll open it up to public input. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone who'd like to talk to us about corner lots and how you make sense to look at them? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing with respect to this matter and move on to the next item on the agenda. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
ma'am.
ZB 2022-04-4, upon the matter request by Smoke Depot for an area variance to operate a tobacco retail dealer and vapor products business with less than 1,000 feet from the nearest point of the property line of a school, playground, or child care facility on premises 525 Titus Avenue, Arundecoit Plaza, in the C Business District.
Good evening.
Evening.
Yes.
Your name,
Tiazan Al Sayadi,
address?
136 Lyle Avenue. That's my address, but we here regarding the 525.
525 Titus Avenue, right. If you
Exactly.
both raise your right hand. Your name, sir?
My name is Adel Rashid.
Okay. Raise your right hand. Do you both swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Okay. Regarding this case or this store, it has been a long time. I mean, since we started the planning to do smoke shop there, we asked the zoning and the town, and in that time they approved, and they said they has no problem, and that area to be smoke shop. We invest some money there. We go through lease agreement based on that fact that there is no objections. No one gonna be sorry. There is no objection there, and everything gonna be fine. So we go through lease agreement, and we do after that like some investment in the money. In the store, we put some money. We order some stuff from the market to make that store ready. But suddenly they told us that there is rolls just coming up, and has to be distance. Make that impossible to do the smoke shop. After all these, we go through many things. We go in the investment. We here trying to get the zoning to allow us to do that. We are ready to do any extra or exceptional even rules for the town satisfy the regulations and the safety and the all the requirement of the residents. If they have any more or like they want more or things even more than other smoke shop in the town, we are ready to do that, to cooperate with them, and also we are ready to be like impose our store for an inspection all the time. We are here to promise that there is no other or illegal things not gonna be there. We are ready to, I mean, any extra thing or regulation you may say that required, we are ready to cooperate with the town.
correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that you didn't actually sign the lease for this until after the town adopted the ordinance that imposed the 1,000-foot requirement. Is that right?
No, my understanding that when they get the lease, that was before the regulation, or at least before they know or have no intention.
When was the
Yeah.
ordinance passed, the town code?
I believe August 2021. I'd have to check.
Excuse me?
It should be in there, the date that it was amended. Yeah.
I'm looking at the lease that was submitted with your application. It indicates that it's January 1st of 2022.
True, but the point is, we've been trying to get the lease since May.
No, I understand. The point is that you were negotiating with this, you checked with the town told you there wasn't an impediment, and then the town passed a law that created an impediment that you didn't know about. You went ahead and signed the lease relying on the information that you'd been given several months before, and you're asking us to say, okay, that's okay. And I can understand and appreciate the difficulties that have been created for you. On the other hand, one of the things we're obligated to look at is why the town imposed the requirement that they did. And they made a determination, the town board, that public policy in the town of Arundecoit is going to be that smoke and vape shops cannot be located within 1,000 feet of schools, playgrounds, daycare, child care, and things like that. We had an application here a month ago that involved a store that was already within that radius that was relocating a distance of 10 feet. And for that, we approved them, but in the course of that hearing, what we learned is that there are already between 15 and 20 existing smoke or vape shops that are within 1,000 feet of those things. So the policy that the town board has determined for the town is not to increase that number, but to decrease it. And we would be, by granting what you're asking us to grant, you're asking us to overrule what the town board has determined. And that's, I'm not saying we can't do that, but under the factors that we have to address, we're obligated to look at whether or not granting the variance would have an adverse impact on the neighborhood. And the town board has made a determination that smoke and vape shops within 1,000 feet of certain facilities is an adverse impact on a neighborhood. So that's one of the factors that we have. The alternatives that don't require a variance, they're not attractive to you, I understand it, but there's other places in town that aren't within 1,000 feet. Don't ask me where they are, but I'm sure they're there somewhere, of a school, playground, child care facility that, you could open your shop there. I'm not saying they're available. I don't know where they are, but that's an alternative that doesn't require a variance, is to find a location that would allow it. In terms of the substantiality of the request, the application that we approved either a month or two ago, I can't remember which it was, that facility was located just under, as I recall, 900 feet from the school. I understand that your proposed location is less than 400 feet from the playground that is triggering the need for the variance. So that's a substantial variance. 10 feet different from an existing one before. This is under 400 feet from the playground. And I understand that I understand you're amenable to whatever restrictions or rules are placed, but I can't think of anything that could be put in place that would negate what the town board has already determined to be something that's not consistent with the public policy in the town. And then the last factor is the situation self-created? Well, yes and no. It's self-created in the sense that you signed the lease in January and you hadn't checked with the town just before you did it. You were relying on what you were told 5 or 6 months before. On the other hand, the town told you it would be okay, so you didn't.
I understand what you're saying. The only point is that we've been trying to get it since May, so we came to a conclusion on July, and they told us we was gonna get the lease. But as you know, Flaming Company is big. They barely respond. You ask one day, they tell you, "Oh, we got you tomorrow." They take a month and a half to respond for one thing. Then we had the lease, but all the time we get it, there's one point we have to change. It took us so long until we got approved by January. I had my certificates, everything I needed for the business. I did everything I needed until we came to just get the opening sign for the permit. They tell us the point that we can't get it because there's a new law came out on August 21st.
When you check with the town, they told you one time it's okay. Then you're not like checking every day. I mean, if they are like required or they change, so you're actively working in the lease and they are arranging everything to make the store ready.
On the one hand, I understand your dilemma. You tried to do it right. You thought you were doing it right. You ran into a big real estate company that dragged their feet, delayed you, and put you past the time when the law was passed. And the town had told you it was okay. On the other hand, the town board made a decision in August of last year that having smoke and vape shops within 1,000 feet of these locations is against the public policy of the town of Arundecoit. So does the private inconvenience, which I grant you is substantial, I understand that, does that overcome the town board's determination of what the public policy and public interest in the town of Arundecoit is? We'll decide that in a little while.
We want just to consider us as before the law, because we start everything before the law.
But yes, and as I indicated before, you started everything before the law, and if the law had been passed in January instead of August, you'd be okay, and then there'd be 20 or more places that are in violation of what the town board has determined to be the interests of the town. But the bottom line is, it didn't come about that way. That's not the timeline. So, I mean, we'll certainly consider your application. We'll look at the factors. I understand that you want to open for business, and
I mean, if I move to a new place, it's going to be too much. I have to get a new license. I have to do a lot of works to I have to look for the place where it's so hard to get in place, especially if you want an attractive place. I like that plaza because it's so attractive. I spent so much trying to get it. That's why I wasted like 8 months trying to get the permits, trying to get the lease. Went through every chunk this company dragged me to do. There is sometimes even one sentence we have to change. It took a month and a half to get it done. So to be honest, I was so busy, never really just come back to the town or anything, because I was depending on what they tell us already.
I understand. The problem is that the town.
I'm looking for your help and sympathy.
Well,
to see how much I spend, what I did, waste my time.
Yes, you have my sympathy.
I appreciate it.
Because I understand
Thank
that.
you.
My sympathy, though, may not carry the day for you. All right.
But at least you could work it out somehow.
I don't to be honest with you, I don't see a way of working it out. The town board has made a determination that as of the day they passed that ordinance, they want to reduce, not increase, the number of businesses like yours
I understand.
that are
but
operating in that radius.
I can guarantee you, I would never sell marijuana, and this one issue the town is not looking to.
Well, on that issue, the town board also made a determination last fall. Not only did they not say that they didn't want to allow marijuana in the town of Arundecoit, they affirmatively voted to welcome it into the town of Arundecoit. So, on the one hand, they determined that smoke and vape shops within 1,000 feet of a school or a playground or a child facility violates the town public policy, but the same board unanimously approved, I believe it was unanimous, it was at least 4-1, approved not just they had the option to opt out of legalizing marijuana sales in town. Not only did they pass on the option to opt out of it, they embraced it with an affirmative vote. So on the one hand, they're saying marijuana in the town of Arundecoit is okay, but cigarettes and vapes within 1,000 feet of a school and a playground and a child care facility isn't. So
Conflicts.
it's there. I see the line between the two, and yes, you can. It makes sense. It's okay to have marijuana as long as it's not within 1,000 feet of a school or a playground or that's where the town board is at. So
There's like a fence. If you really have to count how people are gonna walk around to get to the plaza,
well,
it'll be longer than 1,000 feet. But they
that's
do it.
that's the other thing that they don't
They do
do.
it like-
It's a straight line,
Exactly.
you know, and you can get your jetpack up and go that way.
Nobody gonna jump.
But nobody does that. That's not how it works, but that's how they measure it, and that's the standard.
So we asking your reconsideration, just review what we said. If there is any way that you could consider us from the people that they came before the law, and we are ready, as he said, to do all the requirement, the safety from
I
the
understand
town,
that.
even more than other smoke shops.
And
Right.
We signed at least for 10 years. That's another thing.
Yeah, I trust me, I understand that, and perhaps your landlord will say, geez, if we hadn't dragged our feet, these guys wouldn't be in the position they're in. And maybe the landlord will realize that they ought to either act a little quicker when they have someone who wants to, sign a 10-year lease with them, or they may say, well, let's find somebody else for the space so we get our money, and this time we won't drag our feet, and I don't know what they'll do to help you. But, we'll deliberate on it. I can tell you I'm not optimistic because the town board, they set the rules for the town.
I hope you all do your best and you just look to some, how much time and money I spent into it. Because, time is money. I took almost 8 months, so that's almost a whole year
I know.
to get it. And at the end, I get it and get to this conclusion.
Work actively with the company, with the lease, with the ordering things, with dreams and everything to open, to stand in his store.
I get it. I get it completely.
I appreciate it.
I just don't know that there's anything we can really do for you. That's the problem. But we'll talk about it, we'll think about it, and we'll let you know.
Thank you so much.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Wants me to read into the record a potential exception. This is section 235-180 of the code, which reads, the town board intends that this article shall apply on a prospective basis only, and the provisions of this article shall not apply in the following non-exclusive circumstances. A, any tobacco retail dealer or vapor products dealer licensed by the Commissioner of Taxation and Finance prior to the enactment of this article. So,
When were you, and where to go? When did you receive your, what was it?
License.
licensed by tobacco retail dealer or vapor products dealer, licensed by the Commissioner of Taxation and Finance prior to the enactment of this this article, which would be August.
Do you have a license or whatever it was?
I have a vape license, I have a tobacco license.
And when did you receive those?
I received them quietly on October.
In October?
Yeah.
Of 2001? Or
2021?
Yes.
That'd be after the.
According to my calendar, that's after August 28th. That was one of the exceptions that the town board put in place, is that if you'd had a license at the time that they adopted the ordinance, that then this provision wouldn't apply. But your license, you're saying, was in October, and that was after August. They were trying to work you within the exception that the town board had made.
But I mean, the license itself, it take time to get it, to establish the business and then to get the certificate of authority, then to get the license. It take time, I mean.
I get it. I got a colleague who's entered a lottery and got a ticket to the Masters for tomorrow. If it rains and they cancel the Masters, guess what? She doesn't see the Masters, and she doesn't get her money back, and she isn't guaranteed that she'll get a ticket to the Masters in the future. It's all a matter of timing. Right. In real estate, they say location. In your instance, it's time. And the calendar, in this case, worked against you, unfortunately. I mean, I think we all sympathize with you.
I appreciate it.
We appreciate that.
That and a couple bucks will get you a cup of coffee.
I spend more than that.
I'm sure. All right. Yes. Go ahead.
You got a copy of the lease agreement?
Yes.
If you look at the second last page on top, there's a lease contingency. And that if they didn't get all the approvals, that it would void March 31st, 22. I don't know if that's relevant or not, but.
Well, here's another thing where the calendar's working against you. Mr. Intini's pointing out the lease contingency paragraph. That if you don't have the necessary municipal, city, and state department approvals by March 31, 2022, it's contingent upon you getting them by that date. That was last Thursday. If tenant does not obtain all such approvals and licenses by such date, and notify landlord by said date, the lease terminates as of March 31, 2022. And here we are on April 4th.
Well, I spent so much on it, I look forward, to get
For
help,
the meeting.
sympathy of you guys, that at least you give me a variance and anything you want me to work with, I
Well,
will do it.
What I've been trying to explain to you is this. It's not whether we feel bad for you, and we can't just say, oh, we'll give you a variance. Mr. Intini's pointing out that if we were a week earlier than we are, you could call the landlord and say, look, I didn't get the approvals, we're out of here.
Yeah, but I waste so much in there that I tried,
I know. I don't know what to tell you about that. Right? Because we have certain limitations that we work within. Right? And, timing just has not worked out well for you on this application.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to this application? Step right up.
Good evening. Lexi Popovich, 42 Gerard Street, Rochester, New York. We're representing the American Lung Association, and just to reiterate the points already made here, we're in support of what you mentioned. If they did have a license or anything, that would be grandfathered in per the law. And given...
It would be a pre-existing.
Yes.
The term grandfathered has negative connotations and is no longer something that should be used.
Right.
Wait a minute, I'm a grandfather.
Now, grandfathers are fine, but grandfathering is a different story.
I'll have to tell the tobacco control advocates because they do still use that.
Yeah, it's pre-existing non-conforming is the new term.
Okay. So we're just in agreement and reiterating that, under 500 feet is very close to the property line, given you might have to go around it, but we're just reiterating that fact that we do support that, and again, what the town board has passed in keeping those vape and tobacco shops away from those youth-centered locations. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Sarah Brown, 152 Shady Creek Road, Rochester, speaking on behalf of American Lung Association. I just wanted to thank you for that conversation. It was great to listen to you share all of the information and education. And just to, in case anything should happen where you're still considering this, I just wanted to add that there is a Sheer Ego School of Beauty, which is typically people can start that at 16 years old if they get their GED. And so 16 to 21, you would have youth there, and that's like closer than 200 feet, I think.
Well, youth can work in Wegmans with a work permit.
What? Wegmans doesn't smoke. They don't have
No,
cigarettes.
but I'm saying, you're talking about Sheer Ego,
Well,
that
it's a
16-year-olds are going to be in the plaza with the smoke and vape shop a few hundred feet down the road, right?
So I don't know what youth, so I guess I have to educate myself on what is youth, like if a ballpark, if a high school is youth,
Well, you're saying Sheer Ego would be a school?
Yeah, Sheer Ego is a school.
Okay.
Yes, it's a continental
That wasn't
school.
part of the application that they were too close to Sheer Ego. It was the playground that was
Right.
brought it up.
Yes, and I
get what you're saying, no.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
okay.
you. So I just wanted to add that on in case, but thank you so much for your time and your consideration.
Well, I think both of you were here earlier this year, weren't you, when we
Yes.
were dealing with the other application?
Yes, we were.
See, so we did pay attention.
Yes, you do. Yes,
All
you
right.
do. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'd have to look at the definition of school to see if
Right.
commercial school falls into that.
Did you want to speak in opposition? I do. Step right up.
Thank you. Folks, how we doing tonight?
Good.
Aaron Johnson, Superintendent of Schools, 321 List Ave, Superintendent of Western Rondequoit. I'm here tonight to
The
follow
zoning
up.
board.
What's that?
I said, welcome to the zoning board.
Thank you so much, and appreciate all the work you folks do. Got a lot of great businesses coming in, thanks to you folks. I just want to follow up on a letter that we sent on February 7th. First of all, I want to say, two great gentlemen here, and definitely sympathetic to small business owners. It's not an easy time to operate a small business, and certainly to jumpstart one of those. And so this isn't anything personal to them, but having 3,700 students entrusted to my care as a superintendent, this is something that's raised my level of concern, especially being that park is something that our students often use for recreation on a very regular basis. And as you may know, our school isn't within the restricted area, but we do have an open campus, and our students every day they frequent that plaza for lunches and different things. I mean, we have a semi-open open campus there. I would say that this year we've had an alarming spike in what we've found as far as the use for our students with vapes, both nicotine and THC. I'm not sure if the board is aware of this, but we had 3 issues where we had to hospitalize students. We had to call 911 due to vape products that they had used. We're uncertain of what was in those vape products, and they had a critical medical emergency, some of those life-threatening. I'd also say that just to bring to the board's attention, as far as protecting our youth, this is something that obviously is a constant battle. We're working to educate our families and our youth about, the responsible use or the harmful effects of these products on their health. Just this past week at the school, and I know that this may be a little bit of a bird walk, but we had an issue where one of our sanitary lines, major sanitary line to the north end of our IHS, our high school, was plugged, and it backed up into 2 of our art rooms, and we had to vacate those art rooms for a short period of time, and we had to close those restrooms on that side of the building for 3 days. And we had to cut out a major section of that sanitary line this weekend, 10 feet of that. Guess what we found? It was packed full of vape cartridges and vape pens. So again, it's something that we don't take lightly. I appreciate all the work that you're doing. Again, nothing personal to the gentleman. I understand that you have a business and you have to make a profit and all the complications, so please don't take this personally, but thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Consideration.
You said you're reiterating from a letter you wrote? To,
I did, February 7th.
To who?
This was to the Arundecoit Planning Board. We sent this in.
Oh, to the planning board, okay,
Yeah.
'cause I was gonna say, we didn't see
Sorry,
a letter.
would you like a copy?
Sure.
Sure.
All right, we'll pass it around. Thank you. All right, is there anyone else that wishes to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone who'd like to talk to us about how you measure distance, vaping, smoking, marijuana, that came up, whatever. Seeing none, we'll close the, oh no, the applicant, you can come back up and address anything that came up if you'd like.
Well, I think the points they said is, I'm not gonna sell any, like, he said cartridges, I think it's marijuana cartridges, which is I'm not gonna sell it, and I would work with whatever constructive you have for me, so that's the only point I have.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll close the hearing with respect to that matter, move on to the next matter on the agenda.
ZB 2022-04-4, upon the matter request by Smoke Depot for an area variance to operate a tobacco retail dealer and vapor products business with less than 1,000 feet from the nearest point of the property line of a school, playground, or child care facility on premises 2062 East Ridge Road in the C Business District.
Hi,
Hi,
Mike Lucky, 2062 East Ridge Road.
and the gentleman next to you?
Mujib Ahmed for 2062 Ridge Road.
You raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it's been a tough year for all of us, I think, or tough 2 years with the pandemic, and everybody tried to make a living. Anyways, we applied for, or we leased this location to open a smoke shop. I don't know exactly how many feet we are far away from schools or a playground.
According to the information that we have, you are within, 894.6 feet, but that's the driving or walking, and it's 451.7 feet in a straight line, which is how it's measured.
How it's measured. So we need Amazon to start dropping the shipment for that.
And you had the certificate of authority from the Department of Taxation and Finance that you submitted as part of your application, which indicates that they validated it on February 4th, 2022, which puts you in the same
Exactly.
time dilemma as the previous applicant.
Exactly, but I want you to put something under consideration. I'm a regular citizen, bought a house. I stayed a whole year to do the closing deal. With the pandemic, everything was correspondent. With the pandemic, everything was shut down. And till right now, everybody's suffering. Even your board, with all the respect, is suffering from that.
Yep.
So at least you have to work with people that trying to move on. We're not trying to be dependable on the government. We're not trying to get a Section 8 or a food stamp or whatever. We're trying to approach ourselves, do something for ourselves, for our family, and keep going with our life. It's not an easy task. I totally understand. I totally understand that, sir, what he said about the school, but that's a big issue. That's not only the students, it's the new generation. How are you going to stop people from drinking or smoking? At certain age, everybody have his own choice to choose what they want to do, what they don't want to do. My concerns, if I get the license, I'll make sure, I could guarantee that we're not going to sell to anybody under the age of 21, and which I'm going to follow the regulation to the fully extent. So we need not thinking only about the board or the 1,000 feet or the school zone that we just approved on August 15th, but there is so many things. We spend a lot of money on this. We're trying to be a part of the community too. We're not there to open business and not sell to nobody, and we're trying to be there not selling to underage people too. We're trying to be a citizen who could work for the community and work for my own self. I understand there is regulations, I understand there is rules, but the time frame with it, it's not even 6 months. And when we get the place and thinking about doing the business, it takes time. Who have the cash flow these days to open a small business? We came from the pandemic, and the pandemic hurts everybody. I myself, I bought a house and I waited a whole year to do a closing deal. And it's not an easy task. I have to work a side job as an Uber driver to feed my family. These days, I understand, but when you put the regulation on August 15th, you have to give a break to us at least. Give a 6-month period. At least help the people who start doing the job. It's fine with me. I understand. I'm a father of 5 kids. And I understand when you said school zone. I really appreciate that. But it came after, it's going to hurt us too. You doing that zoning board, you doing the 1,000 feet to protect our new generation kids, absolutely right.
Hold on. There's one thing I need to correct. It's not the zoning board that is doing the 1,000 feet.
It's the community.
It's the town board.
Oh, the town board.
Town board imposed the 1,000 foot requirement, and we are only allowed to grant exceptions to requirements that are put in by the town if certain criteria are met.
Oh, okay.
Right? And as I reviewed with the last applicant.
Yeah, the criteria that you have with the last applicant will not work for us even.
I know.
We have,
both of you are in a circumstance where I have a lot of sympathy for you, because if things had progressed differently, you'd be in and you'd be up and you'd be running and you'd be able to conduct your business within the law and do everything.
For you,
but
with all my respect. So 6 months ago, if a business established over there, we are all fine about it. 6 months later, we are not.
Right.
So
actually, not even that. You said, was it August 15th?
August 15th, yes.
So
I called
on August 14th. You would have been fine.
Fine.
And on August 16th, you're not.
You're not. So that's why I came to this board to request.
We can't turn the clock back.
I know. I totally understand. But I'm already on the spot. It's not like turning the clock backward. What I'm trying to do to do some exceptions for people who's trying to be on their feet. I'm not asking for, you could give me the license, I could open, give me 3 strikes, shut down the store if I sell it to minors. Fine with me. At least I'll be proven guilty.
The board's attorney just read what the town has said are the exceptions.
Yep.
And unfortunately,
we can't do nothing about
you
it.
Don't meet those, and we don't, we bend over backwards to try, when we can, within the limitations that we have to operate under, to try and accommodate people to use property that they either own or lease. We want businesses to come to Irondequoit. We want people to improve their properties, but we have to work within certain parameters. And unfortunately, the town board has imposed the limitation that we just can't ignore because we feel bad for you and we'd like to help you make it, and the timing just didn't work for you, and if it was 6 months earlier, geez, it would have, so is 6 months really that much? That's why I used that. It's a matter of a day. It can make the difference, not just 6 months.
Yeah.
agreement مع الجايز and he buy the property for 325,000. We sign a lease for him to kick up the load or tennis to
They totally understand the situation that we going through. They totally agree that it take time from leasing the spot, finding a location, try to open a business spot. All that does not matter in their eyes because.
Well, it's not that it doesn't matter. I mean, I really, I want you to understand that. It's not that it doesn't matter. It's that there's only so much we're allowed to do. Let's assume that we were to say to you, okay, we're going to grant you a variance, okay? And we did it. There could be a lawsuit filed tomorrow that would result in your being stopped until the appeals were gone through and satisfied, and more likely than not, any court reviewing it is going to say, empathy for the situation of the applicant is not a valid consideration for granting a variance, and they would set it aside. So what you have to appreciate is that we have to operate within those boundaries, and if we can't grant it, it actually saves you a ton of money that you won't be spending on court challenges, because somebody, I guarantee you, somebody would challenge a variance if we were to grant it.
Yep, I totally agree with you. Anyways, we try our best to open, but if we
agree.
Get accepted, it's all right. We're going to try somewhere else. We're not going to stop. Life is
well, I hope you will.
A big school. We have to understand and learn every day.
Like the superintendent said, we welcome business in Arundecoit. We wish you luck. It's nothing personal.
Nothing personal. Okay, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. I just want to address one thing about the lung association.
The lung association, yes.
I appreciate what they're doing, but there is so many things about it that I hate. I lost my dad because of lung disease, and he never smoked in his life. So stop putting everything on a cigarette or smoke and find the real problem with the lung. It's not everything that we smoke. We can't stop everybody to do what they want to do in their life because they're going to prevent death from life. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Is there anyone here who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition to this application? Step right up.
Name's Gavin McDonald. I live at 69 West Squire Drive in Rochester, New York. Work for Drug Free Arundecoit. I have a statement on behalf of all of us. Drug Free Arundecoit is a brand-based coalition of stakeholders, like Aaron Johnson's part of our coalition, as well as American Lung Association. We're committed to nurturing.
And I'm on the board.
What's that?
I'm a member of the board of Drug Free Arundecoit.
So I'll see you in the meeting tomorrow morning.
Not the coalition meeting.
We have a board of directors meeting.
At 7:30, yeah.
Yes, I'll be there.
The only downside of being on the board.
Yeah, we're committed to nurturing happy and healthy drug-free youth in Arundecoit. The coalition strives to create systemic change of beliefs, attitudes, perceptions, and practices associated with the use of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs among youth, families, and the community at large. We stand by that tobacco and vape retailers should operate no closer than 1,000 feet of schools, playgrounds, and child care and facilities, and maintain that it is a health benefit of our community to limit the exposure and availability to tobacco and tobacco-related products. I also have a letter from Superintendent Mary Groh that's not here right now. I don't know if you have it. It's a letter from to the Arundecoit Planning Board.
Yeah, the planning board letters don't make their way to the zoning board.
Fortunately, I don't have it printed. I was
That's all right.
in a rush. I can read it off though. We want to thank you for all your hard work, dedication, and commitment in and around our community. We're hoping to provide some information on our support of Chapter 235 of the Town Code, tobacco retailer dealers and vape product dealers. As an educational entity in the town of Arundecoit, it is our priority to keep our students, staff, and faculty safe and healthy within the confines of our community walls. We are dedicated to the support and well-being of our entire community, but especially our young children and adolescents who come to our districts to grow, learn, and excel as students. And this is from Superintendent Mary Grote, the Planning Board. That's
Thank
all
you.
I have. Thank you.
Anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition to this application, step right up.
Chairman, just for the record, that letter is on the back of the letter that Dr. Johnson submitted.
Oh, okay. Oh, and just a moment.
Sure.
I also forgot to mention, if you can add to the matter with respect to the application for 525 Titus Avenue, that at 4:05 this afternoon, apparently comments were received from the HIP organization, and they were circulated. I forgot to mention that and essentially they were also in opposition to the application, to that application. So if you could just add that to the notes about that meeting. Oh yes, there it is, right on the back side. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hi guys, thank you so much. I'm humbly glad to be here. Just wanted to let you know I am a parent of a student that is close to that area. My name is Joyce Preston, and I live at 2991 Culver Road. And you know, when I saw the variance, I got the little yellow thing in the mail, and I said, you know what, that's something worth looking at, because my son is 13. You know, and they have startup money. I don't have any startup money for anything. You know what I mean? So instead of doing something with tobacco, you know, that's gonna hinder our community, why don't they make T-shirts? I went to the mall today and I saw custom T-shirts. I said, oh my gosh, you know, if I had startup money like these kind of people do, I'd do something that didn't hurt the community. So that's all I wanted to say, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone who'd like to talk to us about the application in general? Superintendent, you want to speak in opposition? Come right up.
Thanks again, folks. Aaron Johnson, 321 List Ave. And just one thing I want to point out, just in general, again, you know, I said the cartridges, but really it's the hide pens and the puff pens, I believe they're called. You know, and I think something that we take into account as a school district is that when you're purchasing many of these products, it's not clear what they contain. You know, and I think that's a major issue that we're trying to educate our folks on. Regardless of the distance, you know, you don't necessarily know what's in these products because there's very little oversight. And again, like I mentioned before, we had 3 critical incidents this year because students bought some of these things either directly or through people and brought them into schools. So just wanted to clarify that. Again, thank you for the time. Nothing personal to the gentleman. Totally understand that you know, it's a tough time to start up a small business. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in relation to the application? Would the applicants like to address anything that came up during the public hearing? Okay. All right, we'll close the hearing with respect to that matter and take up the next item on our agenda.
ZB 2022-04-6, upon the request by Andrea and David Hauer for area variances to maintain an existing 580 square foot dock exceeding maximum square footage and length and with less than required side setback on premises 1198 Bayshore Boulevard in an R1 residential district.
Hi.
Hi.
Andrea Hauer, 1198 Bayshore Boulevard.
David Hauer, 1198 Bayshore Boulevard.
Raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
We're here today to talk about both a setback and an area variance. And you see in front of you, I think you have the presentation. We have multiple pictures. We have the, basically what we're looking for is for a setback variance for our dock. You'll see pictures pre-flood of the dock, how it was, which was approximately 1,400 square feet. You'll see in page 3 the survey that we got from Mayors on September 13th, where you'll see where our boat is also on that survey. You'll see, and there is a mistake on the next page, our boat width is 8 feet 5 inches, not 8 feet, so that leaves the distance between the boat and the property line at 5.175 feet. You'll see pre-flood aerial view as well as the new dock aerial view, which will show that we're not hindering anyone's navigational path. You'll see on the next page what it looked like pre-flood and actually dock removal, and you'll see the new dock that we've installed next to that. You'll also see a front view showing that we are not blocking any navigational pathway between our boat and our property and our neighbor's boathouse. Next page, you'll see also the distance. You'll see the boat in its place next to the boathouse, which is on our property. You'll also see other setback shoreline violations on just the Arundecoid side. I didn't go and do the Webster side. For the area variance, some of these pictures are the same, but you'll note that the dock pre-flood was about 1,400 square feet, and it went from property line to property line. So there was no distance between. You'll also see that there is a finger right on the property where it was. Some of these are redundant. The new dock is 58 feet by 10 feet, so it is 580 square feet, whereas pre-flood, again, it spanned property line to property line, approximately 1,400 square feet, and also went out just as far as this new dock. You'll hear we received complaints, the list of complaints 2 hours before this meeting, so I just want to address them before I leave. So the property next door, Mr. Aiello's property, according to our survey conducted in September, clearly shows that his boathouse is half a foot onto our property. As this is clearly less than 10 feet from my property, I would think having that is more of a hindrance than a boat at the dock over 5 feet away. Our boat in question is a 31-foot Celebrity that is 8 foot 5 inches, leaving over 5 feet remaining for a navigational path. Again, our dock was over 1,400 square feet, well over the 50 foot in question, and spanned the property lines. And this new dock is significantly less than the previous one at 580. Mr. Aiello had no problem with the previous dock in the past, as he used to use the finger to tie his boat off, as well as use the boat hoist that was there to keep his boat. I'm curious as to which dock I am hindering. Our neighbor has a boathouse, a Hobie dock, which was illegally modified this summer by driving piles into the seabed with no posted permits, or actually his boat dock. So he has 3 docks on his property, which is in violation of your code 149.8BB. Can he not use one of the other docks for his navigational pathway? The pictures in question are not misleading. It's difficult to mislead an aerial view shot. Our property is not at an angle and has a straight break wall. Mr. Aiello's property, however, is on a radius. He has also expanded his boathouse, raised it onto landscape block, dug into the break wall, and is in clear violation of almost every rule, as well as the safety and New York State Building Code violation, as you can see in the pictures attached. He has also stated that having the dock and boat on this side will devalue his property, but as you can see from the pictures of the boathouse, again on my property, it is unfinished, an eyesore, and clearly devalues my property and will hinder me in reselling. He is correct, however. We do not want the boat on the other side of our dock. Having that still would be in violation of the 10-foot rule. We would prefer to have it on the side where we would like it, because we already have no view due to the boathouse, and so we'd like to keep at least one view that we can see. The water is significantly deeper towards the bay side of the dock. Our boat needs to be in roughly 10 to 12 feet of water due to the wave action and boat traffic. We have added lights along the perimeter of the dock for safety reasons, so it's not a hazard to boating traffic. The other letter that you've gotten from Mr. Wakeman states that we are in violation of the characteristics of the shoreline. However, if and when you look at Mr. Wakeman's property and boat placement, these stick out further than our dock. For us to impede on any other neighboring properties is kind of ludicrous and unfair. I'm done.
I'm curious about what permits were granted before the dock was put up.
So we had a DEC permit. We were originally going to put the dock as a permanent dock and then decided to make it a floating dock. And so that's what we were going with. It was 48 feet by what? By 16 feet? It was 16 feet by 48 feet. And it was going to be a permanent dock. Now it's a floating dock at 10 by 58 feet.
There was correspondence that came as part, we've gotten a flood of, no pun intended, information about this application.
I'm sure you have.
Correspondence between the town and the Department of Environmental Conservation, and I'm confused as to what, if anything, was granted when.
We received the permit from the DEC. When? Speak.
17.
2017.
And that's for what dock?
Before it was supposed to be a permanent
A permanent
dock.
structure.
All right, so not the dock that's there now.
Correct.
Changed
Okay.
it to a floating dock.
When was the permanent, or when was the permit issued for the dock that's there now?
There was a change order modification that was requested from the DEC, which we never received from the DEC. The contact person at the DEC, Peggy Norrie, who was there at the time that I was working directly with, retired, and there was no record from her of her and our conversation on the record through the DEC of the modification or the change order.
So there hasn't been one yet
From the DEC?
from the DEC.
Correct.
Okay. And then I'm unclear as to how because the correspondence seems to indicate that the DEC is deferring to the town and the town's deferring to the DEC, which means it leaves me in a quandary as to who it is that's in charge.
Leaves me in a quandary as well.
And then you made reference to a survey that shows that the boathouse is encroaching on your property, but I don't see that on the survey that's with the application. Is that the mayor survey, or is that a different one? Oh, well, that helps if I'm looking at it the wrong way. That's, okay. Okay.
All right. Going back to the permits and the original dock that was put in, my understanding is you received a permit from DEC in 2017 for a dock.
Correct.
However, DEC says the dock that was installed does not conform to the permit. Therefore, the permit's void, terminated, discontinued.
Correct.
So we've got a dock out there that was intended to be permitted by DEC but isn't.
Correct.
And now
We thought it was permitted via the change order and modification, but due to the retirement of the person that I was dealing with, the contact person from the DEC who retired, there's no she did not have any records of the change order that was submitted.
I guess my question is, why did you apply for a permit with these conditions and then go and do something else? I have a problem with that. I'll tell you right now, I have a problem with it.
Okay.
And now you want us to approve what was done, I want to say improperly, but incorrectly.
The reason for the change from the permanent structure to a floating system was due to the fact of the flooding that we were dealing with down there and the destruction that we experienced with what was there originally. And we didn't want to go through all that again. We want to have something that was going to adjust to the water levels and not have to worry about having it destroyed again, serious maintenance issues throughout their term that we lived there.
Wasn't there something in there about putting in pilings for the dock from DEC? Didn't they say something about you had to do that?
They were talking to us about doing that.
Well, that's not a floating dock then, right?
Correct.
What are the regulations concerning a floating dock?
There are none.
There are none.
None?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that we're aware of.
Floating docks can be put in with rise up and down on piles. They float up
We
and down
don't
on
have
piles.
piles.
DEC doesn't like big concrete anchors. That's part of their
Right.
the problem with it.
So
But
this
there-
is a dock that can be moved?
Mhm.
Yes.
So you could move it south or you could move it north.
Or east or west.
Well, if you moved it east, you're going to be out away from land and it'd be tough to get to.
Yes, sir, but then I would be in violation of our other neighbor,
East.
south.
South.
Who had stated in a letter that they are okay with that. Well, I'm still in violation.
Well, one of the factors that we have to consider is the impact on the neighborhood. You have a neighbor to the north who says there's a problem. You have a neighbor to the south who says there isn't a problem.
Yes, sir.
So that would be one of the factors that we would take into account is in granting a variance that an alternative that doesn't require a variance. My experience is that there's nothing like water to bring out issues.
I can second that one, Jim.
Mm-hmm. All right.
The actual dock size 10 by
Yes, sir.
something in here for the town that says.
Joe, can you turn on your mic? Thank-
I keep forgetting. From the town, that it's 59 feet 6 inches long and 12 feet 3 inches wide. I'm just wondering, is that,
Well, unless you were on my property,
Yeah, the inspector was in your property today and he measured it. Yeah. Because of all the issues, he just was sent out to make sure what the size of the dock was, and that's what he said. Well, that's what he wrote. 12 foot 3 inches wide and 59 feet 6 inches long.
The support structure that supports it's only 10 foot wide.
Pardon me?
The support structure that support is the dock is only 10 foot wide.
10 feet wide, because you couldn't drive it to there if it was longer. Wider.
So you're saying that he was measuring the top part, which was wider, but the support itself underneath is less.
It's 10. It's 10 foot wide.
Well, we go by the top part because that's the part that causes the distance from a person to get in and out of the water area, right? It's not the legs of the table, but it's the table itself that pushes you over. So he did right, yeah. But that explains why. That's a good explanation why that's 10 and 58.
Well,
It's the over.
That's not relevant to the size of the dock. I don't care how wide the porch is, the dock can be wider. He measured 12 foot 3 inches. That's a measurement. That's a
Right,
fact.
right. But now I understand where the 10 came from.
Pardon?
If it's, the 10 feet's the foundation underneath
Yeah,
that.
that's the
Right, I
foundation.
understand that. Well, now I understand the difference.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, when you were speaking, you mentioned 1,400 square feet.
Yes, sir.
What is that?
The previous dock.
Oh, the previous dock,
Yep,
okay. I'm
it
sorry, I
was
didn't hear
destroyed in
that
the-
part.
that's okay. Destroyed in the flooding.
And was there
And it-
permits and everything for that?
We didn't live there. I mean, we lived there, and then the
Oh,
flooding.
it was there when-
We didn't install it.
It was there when you
Yes.
bought the property.
Yes, and it
Purchase.
went from property line to property line.
So it may have been a pre-existing non-conforming use, we don't know.
Don't know.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, we'll open it up to, is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Anyone here who wishes to speak in opposition to this application?
First of all, I want to thank the board for all their time they donate to this. I didn't know it was a donated thing, so thank you very much. My name is Merle Tracy Aiello, and I live at 1204, 1208 Bayshore Boulevard.
Pam Aiello, 1204, 1208 Bayshore Boulevard.
And we're strongly going against this. As you can see, I think you all got the presentation, and if you look at pictures 1, 2, and 3, that clearly shows the hazard to navigation and how we can't get in and out of our boathouse when they park their boat on there. We tried to talk to the Howers last year about our concerns about this, and after the second meeting, they said, wait, and we'll get some drawings to you. And the next thing we knew, they had parked their boat on our side of the dock. She mentioned that the dock, the boathouse hadn't been finished on their side. That was because during the pandemic, I couldn't get the siding for it. I told them the siding was available, and they said to me they didn't want me to ever set foot in their yard again. And I said, do you want me to put up the siding? And she goes, no, we don't. So I'm still more than willing to do that when they allow me to do that. Also, there is a standing violation against them parking the boat on their side of the dock. It was opened in August of, I think August 11th of 2021, and wasn't closed because they never moved their boat until they finally took it out at the end of the season. And in there, Carrie Ivers put at the end of the summary of complaint, said that it could be reopened if they did it again. And I've attached a summary of complaint. There's also, when they're looking at other alternatives, putting the boat on that side is an alternative, and the neighbors have no objection to that. So that's why we're, we have a real problem with them trying to park. And we also have our tape map, which is in disagreement with their tape map, and that was in the original submittal, where it shows our boathouses.
Well, I just want to clarify something. Okay. There's a difference between tape maps, which are really no longer used at all. They were very prolific in the 70s and 80s, and then banks got involved with high mortgage rates and insisted on instrument survey maps prepared and certified by licensed surveyors. And I see that the Howers have a survey done by, I'm trying to find it here, Mr. Mayor, and you have a survey done by Ronald Staub, both of whom are licensed land surveyors and don't agree on where the line is in relation to your boathouse.
And that is correct, because
or anything else, apparently. So I don't think that's the position of the boathouse or the position of the boundary line, I don't think is anything that the zoning board gets involved in, is my understanding. No, I'm just saying that, there's conflicting surveys. In most instances, we can rely on a survey as being accurate, but Richard Mayer disagrees with Ronald Staub, so.
And so in lieu of the violation that you can clearly see in the pictures 1, 2, and 3 that we've provided, that you cannot safely or easily get in and out of our boathouse when they park their boat on our side of the dock. So it's a really it's not only a hazard to navigation, but it's extremely dangerous. We almost had many near collisions last year when they had parked their boat there, just trying to avoid it getting in and out of our boathouse. And we have 3 different pictures there. One is showing the massive size of their boat, looking at it from the water and directly going into the boathouse. The second one is showing their boathouse on the 8.5 foot plus the variance, how the corner of our boathouse you can see in there, and you can see the edge of their dock, and their boat takes up the entire width of that. And then the third one is looking out of our boathouse, trying to maneuver a boat out of there with their boat parked there and a boat parked on our dock. And to answer the question about the existing docks, I lived there for 40 years, and during that period of time, there was a family compound there. Jerry Peretta and his son-in-law lived there. They built the docks, and as far as my understanding was, there were no permits for those docks. And as for when the Howards are saying that I would anchor my boat in their launch, I never did, and I never tied up to the arm going out there. You know, we had a boathouse, we didn't need to do that. So I'm not sure why they're saying that. But what we're asking for is the variance for them to put their boat on our side to not only, you know, to interfere with our riparian rights, interfere with the access to the boathouse, but also with the town, when the town found them in violation of that last year and said that the complaint could be reopened if they did it again.
Anything further?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition to this application?
Yes, there is one other person, Pam.
Oh.
The other person is Mark Wakeman, and they reference his letter too. So we have a letter. I think you all have the letter.
We have that, yes.
Yeah, that was the only thing. He could not be here
Right.
tonight.
Yeah, but he had sent that letter, and we all received that.
Yeah, his concern was for the length of the dock just being there because that's what they did versus what they got permitted for.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that wishes to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone who'd like to talk to us about water or docks or boats or anything like that? Step right up. Well, there's no more public input, but Mr. Howard, you have a chance to respond, and Mrs. Howard, to what was said during the public hearing. So I was just making sure that everybody who wanted to speak had the chance.
On page 3 of what you have right here, which will be this page right here.
On your submission?
Yes, sir, on our submission. The upper right-hand corner, it shows Mr. L's boathouse. It shows.
Hold on, I want to make sure, which,
Page 3,
what does it say at the top?
pre-flood, dock pre-flood.
4 pictures on that page. This one.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, that should.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ailes is talking about a navigational hazard getting in and out of his boathouse. According to this picture, there's a finger that sticks out from the original dock. Was there prior to us. He never brought this to the attention of the board of the town before, or to us until a certain point after we were living at 1198 Bayshore. The boathouse in this picture was the existing boathouse before he remodeled it, redid whatever he did with it, along with the property, or the work he did at the property.
Are you saying the boathouse was moved?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
contentious relationship.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, you're surprised by that.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
yeah, we do.
Like I said, it seems to come with water.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It started from day one.
Can you talk a little closer to the mic? Thanks.
But that's neither here nor there for what we have in front of us.
No, it is not. However, there is that extra half a foot. We've had actually 2 surveys, which I could provide to you from Mayor, which does show the 6 inches onto our property.
I'll also tell you that we cannot resolve discrepancies between
Understand,
surveyors.
I'm here to say that there is no navigational issue, that's all.
That's a question. I do have a question for you. Did you see the pictures that were submitted with the ILO's, I think they were ILO's letter, this picture?
Yes, sir.
All right. And that's the boat that's in question?
Yes.
And your submission indicates that the boat is 8.5 feet wide, and that, I'm looking for the,
It's a 31-foot,
31 foot long.
8.5 feet wide.
I'm not looking at the length. You submitted, I'm trying to find it here, something that showed that there was that the boat is 8.5 feet.
There's 13.
And that here it is, and that there's 5.675, although that would be 5.625 feet.
Yep.
And yet I'm looking at this picture and having a hard time finding out where the 5 feet went.
Well, but then you could look at other pictures and see the 5 feet. So,
Do you have those? Because I'm.
yep,
They're in your information
your-
package.
They're in this other one?
Yep.
All right.
hold on. There's our boat. Property line would be right where it is.
Okay.
And also there's the distance.
All right. All right.
So, of course, it depends on,
Depends on a number of things.
here's a better one.
That was the picture I was looking for.
We have the same boat.
Yeah, that was the picture I was looking for.
Is the measurement of the boat the same from the back as the front? I mean, because I think it says 8.5 in the back, but is the front fatter, or is it, does it get fatter than thinner, or is it all
It gets thinner in the back.
thinner? So the widest part is 8.5? Is that true or not?
The widest
I'm not a boater,
the
but
back?
I'm sure
Well,
it's
the
not.
bow, the front of the boat is wider than the stern of the boat.
Oh, okay. I'm not that familiar with boats.
So, again, there are 3 docks on the neighboring property. I don't see how
Again,
we would be
that-
hindering
Right.
a navigational.
What I have to make clear is that what's in front of us is your application.
Yes.
Right.
If there's a problem with other docks on the bay, and
I
that
understand.
ends up being a request for a variance, we'll deal with those docks when they're in front of us.
I understand. Anything else?
No, I'm not done.
Any other questions?
I'm trying to. All right, so one of the, I guess it's the area variance relating to the maximum size of the dock. We've talked a lot about, whether it's 8.5 feet, 5 feet, instead of 10 feet that it's supposed to be when the boat is docked, hoisted, or moored, right? We've talked about that, but we haven't gotten yet to an explanation about the maximum size of the deck, which is not to exceed 200 square feet and you're looking for a 380 square foot variance. Can you explain that to us? And here's another question. If the dock that you had comported with the not to exceed 200 square feet in area, would that minimize the need for a variance from the 10-foot requirement? In other words, if you have a 200 square foot dock and you're going out 50 feet, it's 4 feet wide, if my math is correct, and I think it is. Right? And if you went 30 feet, it might be 6 or 7 feet wide, which would reduce the distance between.
The width isn't going to change. If anything, it would be the length of the dock would change.
Okay, I guess I don't understand that.
The current dock is
58 feet.
10 feet by 58, or
Right.
however they measured it.
Right.
So the setback is, so it's still 10 feet, let's say, and then I need a 10-foot variance between that and wherever the boat is, correct?
Right. Well, the 10 feet is measured from the property line to the edge of the boat
Right,
when it's docked.
right.
So if your current
Let's
dock
say I
is,
moved it over, let's say I moved the dock over.
well, I'm not talking about moving the dock is one option, but
Right.
another option, if the requirement is that the dock cannot extend more than 50 feet from shore, and it's supposed to be 200 square feet. So if you kept the 10-foot dock, you could go out 20 feet and not need a thing. I guess what I don't understand is if you went 40 feet with a 5-foot deck, you'd be within the code, you'd pick up 5 feet, which would bring your measurements, say that the boat as it is now is 5 feet from the property line instead of the 10. If the dock goes from 10 feet to 5 feet, the boat is now 10 feet and no variance is required. So I'm trying to get an understanding of why a 4-foot or a 5-foot by 40-foot dock wouldn't work. Because as I've read, one of the requirements is what are the alternatives that don't require a variance. That's one of the factors we have to consider. So if you can have a dock that goes out 40 feet, that's 5 feet wide, then no variance is required. The question is, why doesn't that work? Because that's one of the things we have to consider before we can grant a variance. So I'm interested in hearing from you about that.
Yes, that would work.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, thank you. The hearing on that matter will be closed and the board will we will take a 10-minute recess at this point. We'll be back at 9:10. I believe I see the applicant for 21 San Sharon Drive still present. We're doing the order that we're going to deliberate on. 84 Charrington Road, 3773 St. Paul Boulevard, still here. 525 Titus, 2062 Ridge, and 1198 Bayshore. Okay. So, give me a minute to get the right paperwork in the right order. Oh. Okay, the first application on our agenda for which the applicant is still present is 21 San Sharon Drive. This is a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does anyone wish to make an application or a motion with respect to this application?
I'll make a motion that we grant the application as presented by the applicant based on the following findings of fact. So as far as the character of the neighborhood, it's not going to change the character of the neighborhood. I drove around the neighborhood, San Sharon, and over a couple of streets, and there's plenty of individuals with side yard fences. Alternative solutions. Right now she has a dog that's, can climb over a 4-foot fence, and so the best alternative is to put up a 6-foot fence, both for privacy and for security, as well as for safety of people in the community. It's not a substantial request. We've granted several 6-foot fences in the town of Irondequoit. Environmental impacts. I don't foresee any environmental impacts with putting up a fence, and the situation is self-created. However, it will beautify the town and make the town look better and be consistent, and it will also, like I said, create a safety net for the dog in the compound.
I'll second it.
Did Mr. Antini?
No.
Brad.
Mr. Upson. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, 4 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. 2 members of the board are absent. Next item application pertains to 84 Charrington Road. This is a type 2 action for seeker purposes. I will make a motion that we table the application to our next meeting to give the applicant the opportunity to explore alternatives that will not require a variance. When I raised the question with the applicant, he indicated that he hadn't done that, and I'd like to give him the opportunity to explore alternatives, and hopefully he could find an alternative that won't require a variance. So that would be my motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. 4 votes in favor. No opposed. No abstentions. 2 members of the board remain absent. Next, application on the agenda pertains to 3773 St. Paul Boulevard. This is a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does anyone wish to make an application or a motion with respect to this application?
I'll move that we approve this application as submitted. The following findings. Again, it's granting 6-foot fence in here should not cause an undesirable change of the character of the neighborhood. We have several areas, several 6-foot fences in the west side of Arundecoit. There obviously is alternatives that do not require variance, but in this case, they want to replace an existing fence that was knocked down because of a windstorm. It's not a substantial variance. I'm almost inclined to think we ought to change our ordinance a little bit on regarding fences, but that's for another subject. There should not be any adverse physical or environmental impacts by granting this variance. And obviously, with all fencing issues, it's self-created, but the fence doesn't require, because of the pools and the conditions around it, requires to be fenced in.
With respect to the pool, I think a 6-foot fence provides a great deal more safety than a 4-foot fence around the pool. So I'll second the motion. I cut you off, I'm sorry. I'll defer to you on the next one. All right, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 4 votes in favor. None opposed, no abstentions. 2 members of the board remain absent. Next application is the application pertaining to 1198 Bayshore Boulevard. This is a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does anyone wish to make a motion with respect to this application? Okay, I'll make a motion that we deny the variance application based on the fact that there exists an alternative that does not require a variance. The applicant indicated that a 5-foot dock by 40 feet, which would be within the area requirements for the dock in the area, would eliminate the need for the 10-foot, the 5-foot setback variance as well. So by comporting with the area requirements for the dock, there's no need for a variance. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 4 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. 2 members of the board remain absent. The next application on the agenda is the application pertaining to 525 Titus Avenue. This is a type 2 action for seeker purposes. I'll make a motion that we deny the variance application based on the following findings.
Before you do that, is this an unlisted action or type 2?
I think it's a type 2 action.
Did we do unlisted on the last one?
Yeah.
Hmm?
No, he asked if you did it unlisted on the last.
No, I did it as a type 2.
Yeah, I think we may have done an unlisted, given that I think the type 2 has it for 1, 2, or 3 family dwellings. I think we may have done.
So 1198 Bayshore should be a.
Oh no, not. I think the last
I'm talking about
tobacco.
the smoke shop.
Yeah.
Oh.
We may have gone unlisted. If you want to just.
Which one are we talking about?
When we did the smoke shop
Yeah.
at the last meeting, I thought we did an
And that-
unlisted.
I'm trying to remember.
That may have been, yeah. I think just out of an abundance of caution, I think we may have done a quick unlisted and just ran through and neg-decked it. But
So negative declaration will clear it up,
yeah,
right?
yep.
Do we need a environmental impact statement to do a negative declaration?
Do you mean the EAF?
No, we don't have
We
one.
don't have one, that's
Yeah.
I meant to bring that up.
Yeah, I think and to be honest, I'm not sure where we came out with that. I know Nate discussed with you guys afterward, I think.
I mean, for
whether
the
we-
for the one last time?
Yeah,
I
whether
think it was because it was gonna be part of a larger application coming in, they were gonna build
okay.
the store, and not to divide it up, to
May have
have the
just erred
same.
on the side of,
All right,
of
that-
an
yeah,
unlisted.
that could be.
I think type 2 is fine for.
Type 2 would be okay then?
All right.
Sorry.
Do you need a negative declaration if you're denying the application, which is what my motion is?
No.
I wouldn't
for
think
type
so.
2? No. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm sorry, confusion.
that's all right. So, the following factors, I would cite in support of the motion to deny the variance. First off, the, introduction of another smoke, vape shop into the neighborhood will alter and produce a change to the neighborhood character, which the town board, by adopting the ordinance in August of 2021, has determined it would be an adverse impact on the character of the neighborhood. There are no alternatives that wouldn't require a variance other than relocating the business to another location. It's a substantial request in that the town board has determined that 1,000-foot radius is an appropriate distance to buffer this kind of a business from the playgrounds, child care centers, and schools. And this is would be less than 400 feet from those locations, and therefore it is a highly substantial request. It will not have a effect on the physical or environmental conditions if it was granted. It's partially self-created and partially not self-created in that it's self-created to the extent that they didn't sign the lease and weren't able to go forward before the town board adopted the ordinance, but it's also not self-created in the fact that the town board changed the rules while they were in the middle of setting up their business. Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, 4 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. 2 members of the board remain absent. Next application pertains to 2062 East Ridge Road. This is a type 2 action for seeker purposes. I'll make a motion to deny the variance application in this matter as well, based on the following findings. This would be an adverse change to the character of the neighborhood based upon the fact that the town board in August of 2021 determined that smoke and vape shops within 1,000 feet of schools, playgrounds, and child care facilities is a detrimental impact on the neighborhood. The alternatives that do not require a variance are to relocate the business to another location that is 1,000 feet or more away from any of those sites. It's a substantial request in that, as the crow flies, according to the information in the application, the property is under 500 feet from the nearest school. It's an elementary school, the Ivan Green School. Walking to it takes 800 and something feet, walking or driving, but as the crow flies, it's less than 500 feet. So it is a substantial request since it's less than half of the required distance.
Well, just so you know, it's, on the sheet, it says 800.
Well,
799, just for the record.
Well, we had that discussion, but I'm looking at, oh, here it is.
I mean,
No, I'm
it's a,
looking
it's
at-
a good finding, I just want to give the right number.
No. Well, that's what I'm concerned about, because, as part of the application, what I'm looking at, $400 and, oh, it's the, oh, it's, okay, all right.
And then Michelle confirms it, 799.6.
All right, so as the crow flies, the application, it is 803 feet.
Which
Or
is,
790
which is in accordance with
feet.
the,
Somewhere in between there.
code is property line to property line.
Yes, but it is still, it's a 20% request, and it is an elementary school. So I would characterize it as a less substantial than I thought, but still somewhat substantial. It won't have an effect on the physical or environmental conditions if it's granted. And like the last application, it is partially self-created in that the owners of the business weren't able to get it up and running before the town board acted. And it is not self-created due to the fact that the town board changed the rules while the applicant was in the process of getting up and running. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, 4 votes in favor, no opposed, 2 members of the board remain absent. There were no abstentions. All right. We also received, as part of the packet for this evening's meeting, we received minutes from the meeting that we had on February 7th of this year.
We didn't get them. Joe didn't get.
You didn't?
Nope.
Were these left over from last month?
Yeah, I don't think we voted on the ones from last month, because we didn't have enough people, maybe?
Oh, wait, you're right.
All right, so yes, that's correct, because last month, somebody was missing who had been at the meeting, right? So, we all received February 7th's minutes in last month's packet.
Yes.
We have 4 of us tonight who were also present then, so I would make a motion that we approve the minutes for February 7th as submitted.
Second.
Any discussion? I probably should have asked first if anyone had any suggested revisions or changes. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, 4 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. 2 members of the board remain absent, but they wouldn't have been able to participate in that in any event. Then I've also been told that my previous habit of just adjourning our meeting should really be done by motion, so I will move that we adjourn. Is there
Second.
anyone opposed? Anybody want to abstain? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are done.